There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. We come to notices of motion. Does any member wish to give notice of a motion? Honourable Ndlozi.
Thank you, House Chairperson. I rise on behalf of the EFF to move that in its next sitting, the House must debate the origins, spread, and impact of Nyaupe in our communities. Thank you.
Honourable Maimane.
Thank you, House Chairperson. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House, in its next sitting, notes the serious allegations made in the Saturday Dispatch on the 28th of February that 631 million rand contract was awarded to Sienza Group to build 66,000 toilets in the Amatola District Municipality in the Eastern Cape without the proper tender processes being followed. It further notes that is allegedly linked to a number of high-ranking ANC officials and their families whose names I will furnish the National Assembly table. That it denounces the payment of 60 million rands to Sienza for work already done, despite dispatch finding little or no evidence of construction having been completed. That this House condemns the alleged enrichment of a small group of politically connected individuals at the expense of South Africans who are left without basic services, and ultimately rejects any form of corruption and crony while holding those responsible to account. I so move.
The Honourable Maseko.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I, Lindwe Maseko, move on behalf of the African National that at its next sitting, the House debates the importance of e-governance in improving service delivery.
The IFP.
Honourable Chairperson, on behalf of the party, I shall move at the next sitting of this House that this House debate the presence and promotion of different cultures and languages in South Africa. I thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Honourable Member.
I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates regulatory incentives, implementation methods, and reducing bureaucracy at all spheres of government to accelerate the rate of broadband implementation in South Africa.
The EFF.
I rise on behalf of EFF to move that in its next sitting, the House debates the continuing evictions of farm workers from farms they have resided on for generations, exposing the weakness of the Extension of Security of Tenure Act to protect farm workers. I so move.
The ANC there at the back.
I move on behalf of ANC that in its next sitting, the House debates the cost to communicate in improving the lives of all South Africans. I so move.
The member from the.
Thank you, House Chair. On behalf of National Freedom, I move that at the next sitting of this House, deliberates on the issue of the enormous amounts of taxpayers' money which is spent on legal costs by the Department of Home Affairs, taking note that more than 100 million had allegedly been spent during the 2013-14, which is more than double the amount of 46.3 million spent in 2012-2013, and which is 4 times more than the 21.3 million which has been spent in 2011-2014. I so move.
The Honourable Carter.
Thank you, Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the Congress of the People that the House debates at its next sitting the failure of government to work closely and cooperatively with communities and their leaders to curb domestic and sexual crimes, and to eliminate with all the means that the state possesses sexual molestation and the rape of little children. I so move.
The ANC.
Honorable House Chair, I move on behalf of the ANC that in its next sitting, the House debates the role and importance of the post office and post bank to contribute positively to our communities and environment. I thank you.
EFF.
Thank you, Chairperson. On behalf of the EFF to move in its next sitting, the House debate the need for introduction of education and training taxes for private corporation to fund the education and training programs for young Africans. So I move that.
The DA.
Thank you, House Chairperson. I hereby move the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting this House debates the causes of the recent spate of violent and xenophobic attacks on foreign-run spaza shops in Soweto and the West Rand, as well as ways of ensuring such attacks never happen again. I so move.
The NFP.
On behalf of the National Freedom Party, I move that at the next sitting of this Honourable House, the members deliberate on the issue of the embarrassing reports of the South African diplomats who are posted abroad and who are alleged to have provided incorrect regarding their academic qualifications and who have been appointed without satisfactory vetting and background prior to their respective appointment, as is the case with our ambassador to the United States of America and Japan, alleged to have misconducted themselves and have engaged in maladministration, as in the case of the South African High Commissioner in Cameroon. I so move.
The ANC, the honourable member right at the back.
Thank you, Chairperson. I move on behalf of the ANC that its next sitting, the House debates improving to ICT infrastructure by rural communities.
The EFF.
I rise on behalf of the EFF, which is the government in waiting. Move that in the next sitting, the House debates the impact of the sugar daddy phenomenon and pedophiles in our societies. Thank you.
The member from the DA. Order, honourable.
Thank you, Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that sitting, this House debates the high incidence of food poisoning at schools in Limpopo who are fed through the National Schools Feeding Program, and to further debate the question around the awarding of tenders to the unions. Thank you.
The ANC.
I move on behalf of the ANC and in its next sitting, the House debates the implementation of urban and rural green programs to promote quality of life in these areas. I so move.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. I move on behalf of the Inkatha Freedom Party that on the next sitting of this House, the House debates the successes and the failures of the regeneration movement. I thank you.
The Honourable Lovemore.
Thank you, Chairperson. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the low levels in reading, writing and calculating achieved by most children in our schools, and reasons for the situation and mechanisms to address it urgently and effectively.
The member of the EFF, the one behind you, not you, Honourable, the other one. Yes.
On behalf of the EFF, to move that in its next sitting, the House debates the settlement of land claims in protected areas and the continuing apartheid culture of excluding black people from their land, as typified by the settlement arrangements for the Makuleke and the Swaqebe at Rechtersveld, restitution claims which give land back to the black people only on paper while retaining apartheid land management practices. Thank you.
The Honorable Kobisa.
Thank you, Chair. I rise on behalf of the next sitting of this House. I shall move that the House debates the impact of natural disasters and the need in rural areas about such disasters. I so move.
The EFF.
Thank you, Chairperson. I rise on behalf of the EFF to move that in its next sitting, the House debates constructing an aggressive economic program to transform Africa from being a net exporter of natural resources into being an economy that beneficiates and industrializes its raw materials. So I so move.
Honorable member from the DA.
Thank you, House Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the functioning and effectiveness of the boards of the various entities that fall within the Department of Transport and to consider proposals on how they can perform more effectively. Thank you.
The honourable member of the EFF right at the back.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise on behalf of the EFF. Next sitting, the House debates remuneration of all ex-mine workers who continue to suffer in the impact of asbestos and criminal corporations that do not take responsibility for health problems constructed as a result of work-related hazards. I so move.
The honourable member of the DA.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at the next sitting, this House debates the poor infrastructure and road networks in many tourism hotspots located in rural areas and how this impacts negatively on the economy of those areas. Thank you.
Yes, honourable member.
Thank you, Chairperson. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House debates the dysfunctional state of a local municipality, with particular reference to the infighting within the ANC and its effects on service delivery, to the role of the police exacerbating an already divisive situation, and in accepting illegal politicized orders that did not follow a proper chain of command. 3, the failure of the department and the MEC to adequately deal with the situation. 4, the non-compliance with various court orders. And 5, the continued prevention of municipal staff and officials from performing their work. I so move.
Honourable Dudley.
Thank you, Chair. On behalf of the ACDP, I give notice that I shall move that the House debates what role South Africa can or should play in countering extremism and terrorism in this current age. Thank you.
Are there any other notices of motion? Proceed then to motions without notice. Are there any motions without notice? Honourable Maxson.
Thanks, Chair. The Economic Freedom Fighter to move without notice that the House notes that the EFF in KZN held a successful provincial people's assembly that saw the election of a new leadership in the province. Notes that this is a historic meeting marking the first democratically constituted gathering which resulted in the adoption of policies for the economic emancipation of the people of KZN. Notes that it signifies that the EFF is gaining confidence from our people, and it is growing at supersonic speed, making it the fastest growing political party in the country at the moment, which translates that EFF is a government in waiting. Even KZN said siyavuma. Congratulate the new elected leadership of EFF in KZN on the new responsibility to free KZN people from the slavery. Note that EFF is more solid in its policies towards winning local government elections next year. Further note that, above all, the Provincial People's Assembly is also a sign that in the local government elections, our people will choose and associate with the agenda and program of economic freedom fighters in our lifetime, as led by the Commander-in-Chief, who is celebrating his birthday today. I so move.
Order, honourable members. I now put the motion. Are there any objections to the motion? There's objections, so the motion doesn't carry. Other motions without notice? The ANC. Order, Honorable.
Thank you, House Chair. I rise on behalf of the Chief Whip of the Party to move without notice that the House notes that on Saturday, the 28th February 2015, Dr. Sizwe Mabizela has been inaugurated as the 6th Principal of Rhodes University in Grahamstown. Further notes that Mabizela was appointed late last year following the resignation of Dr. Salim Badat, who accepted a post in New York with the prestigious Andrew Mellon Foundation. Recalls that he, Dr. Mabizela, enjoys a solid standing as a mathematician among his peers, and his professional global contribution to the discipline of mathematics is considerable. Acknowledges that this appointment is for a period of 7 years and may be extended for a further term determined by the Council of the University at its discretion. Believes that Mabizela will make history by being the first Black African to head and is eminently worthy of his appointment as Vice Chancellor of this prestigious university, and congratulate him on his new appointment and wishes him well in his commitment to the transformation of this institution even further. I thank you.
I now put the motion. No objections, agreed to. The DA.
Thank you, Chairperson. Of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby move without notice that this House note that runaway fires fueled by strong winds and scorching heat affected large parts of the Cape Peninsula since Sunday, 1st March 2015. Further notes that even as we sit here today, several fires are still across Cape Town as firefighters battle to extinguish the flames. Acknowledges the bravery and diligence of the men and the Cape Town Fire and Rescue Services. Also acknowledges that the Cape Town Fire and Rescue Services encounter to ensure that residents of the city are kept safe. Further acknowledges that the Cape Town Fire and Rescue Services serves a population of 3.5 million people and covers an area of 2,561 square kilometers. Applauds the residents of for showing incredible generosity by dropping off supplies for residents and firefighters, helping those who have been evacuated, assisting hundreds of stray animals who tried to escape the path of the fire. Calls on those who are willing and able to assist to drop off supplies at the Newlands Fire Base, Lakeside Fire Station, or Fishhook Fire Station. Conveys our sympathy to those who have suffered any form of loss during this time. I so move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? Are there any objections? Is there an objection? No objections, agreed to. The member of the NFP.
House Chair, on behalf of the National Freedom Party, I move that this House notes last week Protea cricketer A.B. de Villiers, fastest ever 150 in one-day international cricket matches of 64 balls against Indies. Further notes that just last month, de Villiers made 2 additional records, achieving the fastest 50 in one-day international in 16 balls and the fastest 100 in one-day international in 31 balls, both also against the unfortunate West Indies. Therefore, we call upon this Honourable House to extend congratulations to A.B. de Villiers on his sterling performance. Thank you.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections, agreed to. The ANC.
Thank you, Chair. On behalf of the ANC, I move without notice that the House welcomes the repatriation of Moses J.B. Marks, whose remains arrived at Waterkloof Air Base on Sunday, 1st March 2015. Recalls that their families and supporters were there to receive them.
5 decades after they died and were buried in Russia. Acknowledges that both Kotane and Marx are from the Northwest Province and will be buried in state funeral 14th and 22nd of March, respectively. Believe that the reputation of the two anti-apartheid heroes will bring much needed closure and relief to the Marx and Kotane's family, and calls upon all South Africans to participate in the program, which will take place as part of the build-up towards the ultimate burial ceremonies, which will lay this icon of our struggle to their final. I thank you.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections agreed to. The member of the EFF.
Thanks, Chairperson. The economic freedom fighters rise to move without notice. House notes that while the Eastern Cape Development Corporation prides itself with Magwati Estate, citing it as one of some of its good stories to tell, over 2,000 black farm workers have not been paid since last year, May. Notes that Magwa, the producer of more than 70% of South African tea produce, and what used to be the biggest contributor to the former Transkei's GDP, exploits workers. Government reports paint a different picture. Notes that the tea farm in Lusikisiki in the Pondoland opened in the 1960s by the native government and reopened by the Eastern Cape Development Corporation to provide technical and financial support to the tea estate, followed by over 50 million rand investment in 2007 financial year from government. Notes the shameful reality that over 2,000 employees of the tea farm have not received their salaries since May 2014, despite the over 50 million rand injection, which evidently benefit workers. Further notes that the Eastern Cape government has failed to intervene since last year and in the year of the Freedom Charter, according to President Zuma. Workers on the farm have reapproached the EFF, reporting no change in their working conditions. Condemn the Eastern Cape Provincial and national government for turning a blind eye on such a crucial issue and misleading in its reports that the tea farm is a success. Call upon government to expropriate the farm without compensation for control and ownership to be transferred to the farm workers. Further call on government to provide technical and financial support directly to the workers. Call upon Parliament to urgently pass a law to protect local and infant industries against competition to ensure direct benefit to the people of Lusikisiki. Call upon government to introduce a minimum wage of 1,000 rand per month. I so move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? There's objections. The motion is not agreed to. The IFP.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. I hereby move in favor of the Inkatha Freedom Party that the House 1 recognizes World Wildlife Day marked today, March 3 of this year, and is the anniversary of the adoption of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Flora. Acknowledges that illegal wildlife trade undermines the rule of law and threatens national security. It degrades ecosystems and is a major obstacle to the efforts of rural communities and indigenous people striving to sustain and manage their natural resources. Further acknowledges illegal trade in wildlife has become a sophisticated transnational form of crime comparable to other heinous examples such as trafficking of drugs, human, counterfeit items, and oil. Calls upon the government and the appropriate departments to tackle the issues of poaching, transport, and consumption of illegally traded wildlife, and in so doing, use the same sorts of enforcement tools, techniques, and penalties used in other serious crimes such as trafficking in drugs or persons to bring these poachers to justice. And 5, applauds the efforts of the Department of Environmental Affairs as it chairs the Rhino Protection Program together with its various other partners and vast mandate it was put together to serve. I thank you.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? Objections agreed to. The member of the EFF. Yes, the honourable member at the back.
The Economic rises to move without notice that the House A notes that the protest in Mpumalanga between Bushbuck Ridge and Akonuk over water on Thursday, 26 February, the death of 15-year-old Lucas Lebiane shot dead by police for demanding water. B notes that police used live ammunition in the grade 9 learner of Alfred Machine Secondary School dead and injuring at least one. C notes that the community was protesting over lack of water, a basic human right, but the ANC government sent police with live ammunition like they did in Marikana, in Fixburg to kill Andries Tatane and many more who dare demand better. D notes that more and more communities are on government's capacity to provide quality basic services such that the poor have to resort to protest, which often becomes violent. E condemn the use of live ammunition against the poor, unarmed and defenseless people whose only crime is better services. F calls on government to assist with the burial of the 15-year-old and take appropriate action against the police officers who used live ammunition against defenseless people. G note that government failed to provide services but sent police against poor people whose only crime is to demand better services. H send condolences to the Libyan family and Alfred Machine Secondary School for their loss. I condemn in the harshest terms possible police brutality and the use of live ammunition. Lastly, we call upon the minister to assure that no live ammunition will be used during protest. I so move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? The motion is objected, not agreed to. The NFP.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. On behalf of the National Freedom Party, I move without notice that this Honorable House notes that Namibian President Hifikepunye Pohamba has won the 2014 Ibrahim Prize for African Leadership, and further notes that he is the first leader deemed worthy of the honor since 2011, and further notes that the prize is awarded for democratically elected African leaders who excel in governance and who step down from office at the terms. And further notes that the annual prize was first awarded in 2007, in the year when the late President Mandela was named honorary laureate. Wherefore, we call upon this Honorable House to congratulate Namibian President Hifikepunye Pohamba on receiving this exceptional honor and wish him a peaceful and well-earned retirement as the President of Namibia on the 21st of March, 2015. I so move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections, agreed to. The ANC.
Thank you once more, House Chair. On behalf of the ANC, I move without notice, note with sadness, the passing on of the struggle veteran Ntate Frank Sekhwale at the age of 97. Further notes that Sekhwale, who is the father to former Minister of Human Settlement, Comrade Tokyo Sekhwale, was buried in Heroes Acre at Avalon Cemetery in Soweto on Saturday, the 21st of February. Acknowledges that he is one of the few veterans who fought in the Second World War. Recognizes that Ntate Sekhwale and his generation ensured the successful defeat of the apartheid and delivered political freedom to the nation as a whole. Believes that the departure of Ntate Sekhwale represents an immensely sad moment, as he remains one of the many compatriots who are prepared to pay the highest price for the liberation of South Africa and her people, and extend our heartfelt condolences to his wife, Mese, and the entire Sekhwale family. Thank you, House Chair.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections, agreed to. The DA.
Thank you, Mr. House Chairperson. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby notice that this House notes that the O.R. Tambo International Airport received the African Airport of the Year award at a ceremony held earlier this week. Acknowledges that one of the most important modes of transport in tourism is air travel, and it is therefore critical for our country to have state-of-the-art and internationally competitive airports. Further acknowledges that tourism, as earmarked in the is a vital contributor to the South African economy, contributing more to our GDP than the automotive industry and sustaining more direct and indirect jobs than the mining industry. And congratulates the hard-working staff of the O.R. Tambo International Airport for this remarkable achievement. And lastly, wishes our airports well as they continue to grow from strength to strength in the role that advance our tourism industry. Thank you.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections. The Honourable Member from the EFF.
Thank you very much, House Chair. The economic freedom fighters rise to move without notice that the House notes that hundreds of poor university students marched to the office of the Minister of Higher Education to demand free education yesterday on the 2nd of March. Further notes that the poor students, majority of them, were actually the ones that have already been accredited by NSFAS as beneficiaries. Because the fund is so little, they were finally excluded. Further notes that the universities involved were the University of Technology, Tshwane, the Durban University of Technology, and the Vaal University of Technology. Notes that due to the failure of our government to provide adequate resources for higher education, our students are left with no choice but to drop out even though they are poor and accredited or deemed to be official beneficiaries of NSFAS. Further notes that NSFAS in its form, shape, and the current resources will never be able to satisfy the ever-increasing demands for higher education by poor black students mainly. Acknowledges that the reality of today is that every year there is an increasing number of black students that matriculate with good results only to be told they will never be able to get to university. Notes that this is the year of the Freedom Charter and advises the government to at least extend its resources to cover the financially needy and poor students who qualify for NSFAS. However, notes that NSFAS is not the solution. The solution is free education as advised by the Freedom Charter and supported by the economic freedom fighters.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. The UDM.
Thank you, Chairperson. Without notice, on behalf of the United Democratic Movement.
Order, honourable members. I can't hear the honourable member at the back. Continue, honourable member.
I move without notice on behalf of the United Democratic Movement that the House, one, note with grief the continuous inhuman murdering of farmers in South Africa. As a retired Dr. Louis John Botha, 64 years old, was reported brutally murdered on his compound game farm in Limpopo on Monday, the 2nd March 2016. Further notes that this year, 2015, Mr. Botha is the second farmer to be killed in the Waterberg district of Limpopo after a woman farmer, Susan Kotze, 76 years old, was murdered on her farm near Lephalele in January. Thirdly, we condemn these uncivilized and barbaric murderers who murder innocent farmers and state very explicitly that no historical justification justifies these atrocities. And lastly, we call for further calls for those that are in authority to make sure that the perpetrators are caught and get punished for their acts. I so move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objection. To the NFP.
On behalf of the National Freedom Party, I move without notice that this Honorable House, that 5 people have been arrested by the Hawks during a raid on a Perlemoon facility at a house in Kells River in Cape Town. Further notes that the value of the confiscated Perlemoon is approximately 3. And further notes that the Hawks also confiscated equipment to the value of 50,000 and 23,000 in cash during the arrest. And further notes that 3 of the persons arrested are Chinese nationals and 2 are Zimbabwean nationals. Wherefore, we call upon this Honorable House to congratulate the Hawks for their steering investigation of the plundering of our marine resources and encourage the Hawks to continue with their ongoing investigation to combat the scourge of syndicated Perlemoon smuggling in our country without vigor. I so move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections, agreed to. The ANC.
On behalf of the ANC, I move without notice that the House knows that the 8th of March every year is celebrated worldwide as International Women's Day. Further notes that this year's theme is Empowering Women, Empowering Humanity, Picture It, which envisages a world where each woman and girl can exercise her choice, such as participating in politics, receiving an education, having an income, and living in the society free from violence and discrimination. Understand that this day is dedicated to societies to reflect on progress that has been made since the signing of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action by 189 government 20 years ago. Further understand that this day calls for the celebration of acts of courage and determination of ordinary women who have played an extraordinary role in the history of their countries and communities. Acknowledges that this year in 2015, International Women's Day will also highlight the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, which is a historical roadmap that has set the agenda for realizing women's rights. Further acknowledges that while there have been many achievements since then, many serious gaps remain, and calls on government, women formation, political organization, civil society, and religion formation to organize events for celebrating and uphold women's achievement, recognize challenges, as well as focus greater attention on women's rights and gender equality, as well as mobilizing people to do more fights women and children abuse. I thank you.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections, agreed to. The EFF.
House Chair, I rise on behalf of the economic freedom fighters and for the House to note without notice that the Black Room Dwellers communities in Davidton in Ward 65, 68, 96, and 71 have been engaged in land occupation struggles since the 17th of January 2015. That the ward councillors have promised them these backroom dwellers settlement land during parliament elections, campaigns, and beyond, and had since not delivered on this basic human right, despite the rising demands for land and homes for the homeless people. That the land they've been promised was identified in Ward 96, where government in 2001 moved hundreds of families arguing that that piece of land was inhabitable. Yet it recently built a shopping complex on the same land. That in 1991 and 2001, it moved people from this land, dumping them in Ward 71, Lindelani, where they still remain without electricity, without housing, without water, and without sanitation. And all of these are basic human necessities. That on the 24th of February 2015, the shack dwellers of Ward 97 were forcibly removed on the instructions of the ward councillor by the police, the Red Ants, using brute force, resulting in injuries and arrests. That this signifies that the government of the day is uncaring government, which responds to homeless and landless people with brutality and violence. That this government is the homeless and the landless, instead of giving them water, blankets, or it prefers to use violence on defenseless people. And the only accommodation this government is prepared to provide freely is prisons and jail for the poor masses. That the EFF is the horror, the sad story of the people, especially of the black masses. He seeks to hide and not to be heard. So I move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? There's objections. The motion is not agreed to. There's a hand at the back. The Honourable Fultane.
Thank you. Chair and members, I move on behalf of the UDM that the House knows that on Tuesday, the 24th of February 2015, there were suicide bombings at bus stations in two major commercial centers in northern Nigeria, namely Potiskum and Kano, where 27 people died. Further notes that Nigerian President, His Excellency Goodluck Jonathan, associated the attacks with a militant rebel group called Boko Haram, condemns these human rights violations and loss of innocent lives, calls for international community to unify its efforts and solve this conflict between the Nigerian government and Boko Haram. I so move.
I now put the question. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. The EFF.
The economic freedom fighters rises to move without notice that the House notes that the 2nd of March marks the 208th year since the Congress of the United States passed an act to prohibit the abolition, the importation of slaves into any parts or place within the jurisdiction of the United States from any foreign kingdom, place, or country. That Great Britain also enacted the abolition of transatlantic African slave trade in the same year, and that this is despite the fact that the trading of Africans into slavery continued in the rest of the Americas until the 1960s, particularly in Cuba and Brazil. Notes that by 1865, an estimate of 12 million Africans had been shipped across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas, and more than 1 million of these individuals had died from abuse and at times torture during the voyage. In addition, an unknown number of Africans died in slave wars and forced marches directly resulting from the Western Hemisphere's demand for African slaves. Notes that despite the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade, slavery continued in the Americas well into the mid-19th century. That the 12 million Africans who settled in that part of the world evolved into generations and generations of slaves who toiled in chains as a hated and despised people, all for the benefit of the rise of American civilization and empire. Further notes that these generations of African slaves in the Americas, coffee, tobacco, cocoa, sugar, and cotton plantations, the gold and silver mines, rice fields, construction industry, cutting timber for ships, in skilled labor and as domestic servants. That the descendants of these who now live as freed peoples continue to suffer indignity as shack and slum dwellers in the inner cities like New York, Washington, London, and towns, doing menial work as cheap and easily disposable labor. That the colonizers Africa followed the same patterns of exploitation, extraction, and marginalization which characterizes slavery, leaving the continent under centuries of strife, instability, war, genocide, and economic degradation. That the relationship of the West with Africa still remains structured in the image of slavery and colonization. That it is about extraction of African resources, talent, skills, and the advancement of the West to the total detriment of Africa and its people wherever they are, finally. That the economic emancipation unification of the continent of Africa will be incomplete until its diaspora populations are also free from economic bondage and the legacies of slavery in the US of A, in Haiti, in Cuba, in Martinique, and everywhere else in the world. I so move.
With the motion, are there any objections? Are there any objections? No objections, agreed to. Are there any further motions without notice? Honourable Member.
Thank you, House Chair. The Economic Freedom Fighters rises to move without notice that the House notes since May 8, 2002, 147 members of farming community in Bonneville in the Western Cape benefited from the land reform scheme under the infamous Ashton Small Scale Farmers Trust. Notes the community to this day still has no access to water, the most essential resource for running a successful farming business. Notes that all years later, a once successful and highly productive dairy and wheat farm that had brought joy in its recipients' lives and had helped heal scars and fix injustices of the apartheid era is now struggling without government support. Further note that farming community has approached and exhausted every government channel they have been referred to for over a decade, and all they have got are promises. Acknowledge that a successful land redistribution program requires strong support to ensure sustained success. Call upon government to provide the beneficiaries of the Ashton Small Scale Farmers Trust with funding, subsidies, skill development, and other resources to ensure production in the land. Call on the Langeberg municipality to further support small-scale farmers in the area by buying at least 50% of the food they produce for service provision like school feeding schemes, hospitals, prisons, government. Government also has to legislate all of this to all its institutions, the same thing, so I move.
I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections, agreed to. Are there any further motions without notice? None. The first item on the order paper is...
House Chairperson.
Yes, Honourable Member.
May I address you in terms of Rule 95?
Yes, Honourable Member.
House Chairperson, we agreed on a process of circulation. And at least one of the motions here today was not circulated. One of the motions that we had circulated and received approval for. Can I ask you to reinforce that parties need to circulate these motions so that it saves us having to duplicate each other's work here in the House? Thank you.
No, Honourable Members, it's a fair request. If that is the agreement, it must be implemented like that. Ensure that your motions, I think it's by 12 o'clock on a sitting day, is circulated and also copies reach the NA table. It's difficult for us to judge from here whether it has been circulated or not. The first item on the order paper is member statements. Does any member of the ANC wish to make a statement? Honourable Tom.
Sihlalo obekekileyo namalungu alendlu yowiso-mthetho kazwelonke. Namhlanje singukhongolose siphakama kulendlu simadolwanzima sithokombisile kuba ukufa kusigqebhe olungatsitywa nayintwala iduma. Umsasazi ophume izandla womhlobo wenene uSaba Mbixane eMpuma Kapa ulandulele eli limagada hlabayo. uDJ Manapkeni nto zabantwana izawuzawu lenze imimangaliso ukubuyisela isidima senkcubeko yethu ngomculo wesintu. Lawuthatha lo mculo lawubeka kwinqanaba eliphezulu. Into ingqinwa zimbasa azifumeneyo egqugqisa ke kwisatma. Iyolisa lomfo elakuhlala lihleli ezinhliziyweni zethu. Intsibo ethanda ukucabela umve esithi uleqa ukhozi ngenja kulowo ke unqwenela into angasoze ayifumane. Khange ubavumele zawuzawu abacinezeli ukuba bathathe into bayenze unobenani. Ube ngumzekelo omhle zawuzawu. Imbeko khange uyenze umbeko.
Honorable member, your time is expired.
Ubunothando. Lala ngoxolo.
The DA.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, 13 months ago, the Department of Education in Limpopo undertook to eradicate pit toilets at schools in Limpopo by the end of March 2014. In support of his MEC of Education's 2012-13 budget vote speech, the spokesperson then, Puti Saloba, said the following. Come 2014, after dates were extended again, there will be no school with pit or bucket toilets in quote, close quote. Yet, just 13 months later, a grade 5 learner last week fell into a pit toilet at Lewaneng Primary School in Mokopane, sustaining injuries. 4 toilets to be shared by both male and female learners out of 30 in total, which have to share, is not even in accordance with the department's own norms and standards on infrastructure. It actually amounts to 1 toilet for every 66 learners. Not acceptable. It is unacceptable that learners are forced to use hazardous ablution facilities with the risk of injury or serious infection. It is a serious problem across Limpopo province where 48.6% of all school learners are made to use pit latrines during school. Where the DA governs in the Western Cape, school learners enjoy the highest access to flush toilets at 98.6%.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. It is indeed deeply regrettable that the ANC government continues to fail to deliver services to South Africa, especially in the villages and deep remote areas of our country. It is reported that protests over lack of water in some parts of Mpumalanga province have brought schooling to a standstill. The shooting of 15-year-old Lucas of Castle Village in Bushbuck allegedly by police during a water-related service delivery protest is a clear indication that the ANC have now turned on its own citizens. The government apartheid tactics to bully, assault, and worse, even going to an extent of killing citizens for demanding basic services like water and electricity. Our people are being killed because government does not have the capacity to deliver services, but instead they resort to intimidation and killing the innocent people of We have always said that the ANC government have completely run off our ideas to lead and serve our people of South Africa. They should step aside and give it to the EFF. We have recently seen how police were used by the current government to beat up EFF MPs in Parliament.
ANC.
Honorable Deputy House Chair and members, on the 22nd of February 2015, a severe fire broke out at the Joe Slovo informal settlement in Millerton, Cape Town, and the Philippi settlements, where at the Joe Slovo, 85 dwellings were razed to the ground by fire. 270 persons were displaced, involving 20 babies and infants. In this fire, tragically, a man died. On this visit by the ANC, residents complained that since DA took over in the Western Cape 9 years ago, they have progressively suffered gross neglect such that they lack houses and the consideration for their general welfare. They are pleading that since the municipality of Cape Town has failed to build them houses, thus depriving them of their human right, they request the Minister of Human Settlements to intervene. I thank you.
IFP.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, it seems one of those municipalities that government has forgotten and left those in charge to do what they wish. How else can one explain corruption that permeates every part of the municipality, yet no effort is being made by provincial and national government to hold anyone accountable? Service delivery in Jozini has been non-existent since 2011, with communities stating that they have not had any running water, electricity, proper housing or roads since 2011. What is shocking is that the municipal buildings themselves are falling apart so much that the toilets are said to be so unusable that they present a dangerous health risk. 9 million rand that was supposed to be used for electricity for the people in Gwavuma never materialized. 92 million rands was used by for their own purposes instead of looking after the people of Jozini. The mayor gives comrades and friends instead of those who need them, and even his wife is said to have used public funds to the tune of 10 million rands in a joint business venture. Operation Sukumasake was supposed to drive housing development in Jozini, yet not one house has been built. Health workers who do not even live in Jozini are collecting monthly salaries without having to show up at work. So for how long must the people of Jozini live like this, and how long will this situation be condoned by the provincial government? Are the people of Jozini so irrelevant that the government is not willing to help them or take necessary steps to hold people accountable? It is now a fact of history that the last time the people of Jozini, the real government, was when the IFP was in charge. And in 2011, when the bogus coalition came to pass, the people were then doomed since that day.
FF Plus.
Chairperson, die Vryheidsfront Plus vra al sedert 2007, nadat gestop is met die bekendmaking van amptelike statistiek oor aanvalle en moorde op plase, dat dit heringestel word. Daarom verwelkom ons die onlangse bekendmaking van syfers hieroor deur die polisiekommissaris. Dis 'n noodsaaklike stap in die regte rigting. Die stilte hieroor het aanleiding daartoe gegee dat groot verwarring die afgelope jare ontstaan het oor hoe presies ernstig die probleem is. Die VF+ glo dis in belang van landbou dit weer jaarliks bekend gemaak saam met ander misdaadstatistiek, sodat onnodige aannames so die weggerem kan word. Dit is ook nodig dat 'n duidelike definisie gevorm word oor presies wat van hulle plaas moord, sodat al die betrokkenes wat misdaad rapporteer die regte statistiek deurgee en 'n korrekte prentjie kan gee. Die VF+ neem met kommer kennis van die groot aantal aanvalle, soos deur die kommissaris gemeld, maar is terselfdertyd dankbaar dat as die syfers korrek is, daar wel minder moorde plaasvind. Volgens die syfers wat ons besit, is daar 1651 mense op plase vermoor vanaf 1990 tot 2013. In Suid-Afrika is dit 132 uit elke 100.000 van plaasbevolking, teenoor polisie syfers van 54 uit 100.000 en die gewone bevolking van 31. Die internasionale syfer is 7 mense per 100.000. Dit is duidelik dat ons 'n daadwerklike probleem in Suid-Afrika het wat plaasmoorde betref, en die VF+ verwelkom enige stap om daaraan aandag te gee en is deurlopend met die minister oor. Ek dank u.
ANC.
Deputy Speaker, the Minister of Finance last week announced of 62 billion, which has been allocated to the post-school education sector, and 203 billion to the basic education sector. Work to oversee and adjust the budget allocations will now start in all earnest. Notwithstanding huge improvements in the quality of primary and secondary education, more needs to be done to ensure that more young people access post-school education. The unfortunate reality is that too many of our people are still living in extreme poverty, and that equal access to education opportunities are not yet available to all South Africans. The reality is reflected in the finding that in 2010, South Africa had 3.2 million 18 to 24-year-olds who were not in education, employment, or training. More than double the 1.25 million 18 to 24-year-olds who were enrolled at universities and the FET college sector. Opportunities for remedial training or further form skills acquisition after leaving secondary school in South Africa remains limited. This is due to household poverty levels, the nature of the tertiary education system, the failing SETAs, and the former FET college sector. Fortunately, the white school education identified these systemic weaknesses, and dramatic interventions are being made to adjust the post-school
Honourable
system
Member, your
for
time
the,
has expired.
for the country as a whole. Thank you.
Cope.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Omri van Zyl, a senior associate at Deloitte, issued a warning that our country is facing a very real prospect of food shortages in the coming decade. Using data from Agri-SA, he shows that the average age of African farmer is 62. In Australia, the median age is 53, and in the EU, 55. While the aging farmer population is indeed going to be a problem, electricity shortages, slow pace of land reform, and intensifying droughts make up a toxic mix. A World Bank study in 2009 estimated that 0.8% of a national territory of 1.2 million square kilometers is arable. This is another we have. Data from Agri-SA indicates that South Africa today has 83,000 fewer commercial farmers than in 1994. Government needs to ensure that our country has a stream of younger entrants into agriculture so that food security is guaranteed. Last year, agriculture contributed only 3% to our GDP. This is half what it contributed in 2008. We cannot afford to be complacent about agriculture and food security. The Congress of the People is taking this matter very seriously and urges government to make agriculture growth an apex priority. We need to be more food. We need to be food producers and not exporters, not food importers. Thank you.
ANC.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, we know the Arang SA founder Dr. Mampela Rampela from active politics and wish her well endeavors. It is, however, disconcerting to read on the ongoing shenanigans in Arang, and in particular the discord between its members of parliament. The health of our democracy depends upon strong party politics that are able to engage robustly in pursuit of our constitutional imperatives and in the best interest of the public that we serve. It is therefore extreme concern to read of the woes of members of ARA, two of whom lost their homes and were forced to sell their household content to make ends meet and survive the crisis. I call on ARA SA to get their house in order and end the litany of public spares, discord and acrimony that threatens the very existence of the party and hence the quality of multi-party debate, discourse and disposition. Thank you.
Dear.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The Minister of Transport, Pierre Peters, had agreed to recognise the Makura panel on e-tolls with the announcement last year that the National Roads Agency, SANRAL, and the Department of Transport would make representations to the Gauteng Provincial Government e-tolls review panel. This comes after vociferous anti-e-tolls campaigns by South Africans and civil society organisations have been sidelined by Minister Peters. The about turn by the Minister came as no surprise, as e-tolling is being poorly implemented without due process. The Makura panel has completed their work and have made their report containing its recommendations public in January this year. As recommendations are competencies that fall under her leadership, the Minister must come clean as to whether the recommendations emanating from the panel will be taken to Parliament, where it belongs, for consideration and implementation. What is the Minister going to do about this report? She can no longer ignore this issue, as it simply won't go away. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
ANC.
Hello, my phone. The African National Congress notes and welcomes the progress made with regards to the recent disruptions surrounding the services of South African Post Office. The post office was met by a prolonged strike that has seen clients lose confidence in its ability to service the citizens. This has led to the appointment of Dr. Simo Lushoba, who has helped to stabilize the institution, even though the financial situation has not improved. It is important that although the post office has faced financial difficulties, the Post Bank has stabilized and the process towards corporatization bank is still on track as per commitment of the ANC government. The ANC calls upon unions and leadership in South Africa Post Office to engage so that they avoid another strike, as this will fail the institution and will not assist in building confidence in customers and corporation clients. I thank you.
AIC.
Deputy Speaker, the IC has noted with serious concern that roads in rural areas in this country are in bad conditions. People feel ignored and forgotten by the government. In other areas, this has resulted to peaceful conditions by residents and unnecessary shooting by the South African Police Service. Such incidents occurred in the last few weeks in some parts of Alfred Nzo District Municipality. I need to condemn the shooting of peaceful demonstrators by the SAPS in areas like Hartenberg and Nchodu in that region, and call upon the relevant departments like the Public Works to see to it that roads are continuously maintained in rural areas. Ndikubele, Deputy Speaker, ngokutsho ukuthi i-AIC ikhala kunye nekhaya lakwambixane eMandileni. I thank you.
ANC.
Deputy Speaker, the ANC notes the racial incident that took place in a food outlet in Stellenbosch, where black students were attacked and assaulted by fellow white African-speaking students. During the attack, the black students were told that they do not belong there as they were not speaking Afrikaans. This happens at a time when the ANC has declared 2015 the year of the Freedom Charter. In its preamble, the Charter demands from us to create a South Africa that all people, black and white, could live in harmony and peace. The Constitution guarantees people the right to live anywhere in South Africa without fear of being victimized on the basis of their race, language, or creed. A state that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. It is hard to believe that 21 years into democracy, there were still people who perpetuate racism. The ANC condemns the action of this student with the contempt it deserves. Thank you.
DA.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The constant protest actions by residents of Bushbuck Ridge is a clear indication that the delivery of services, of water, has reached breaking point. On Thursday, 25 February, Lucas Lebanya, a 15-year-old boy, was fatally wounded, shot in the leg, when protesters from Castile village blockaded the R40 with rocks and burning tires, demanding that the Bushbuck Ridge local municipality provide them with water. Deputy Speaker, what is of great concern is that the Premier, under loud applause at his SOPA, confidently told the people of Mpumalanga that the problem of water supply to Bushbuck Ridge had been solved. Speaker, the shooting and killing of Lucas is in direct contradiction of what the Premier told the people on Friday at his address. This once again demonstrates the extent of the ANC government's disconnection with the real state of affairs in the Deputy Speaker, I therefore wish to call on the Minister of Cocta to intervene as a matter of urgency to seek solutions to put an end to these protest actions by ensuring that water is delivered to them. I also call on the Minister of South African Police Services to launch a full-scale investigation into the use of live ammunition to disperse protesters.
ANC.
The African National Congress is concerned about the anticipated retrenchment of employees at Telkom and MTN. It is our belief that it is not only the responsibility of government to create and preserve jobs, but also for all entities and the private sector to play their part in creating jobs and helping to make this country move. Corporations must never put profit and interest of investor above that of building a stable and prosperous country. We believe the retrenchment should be the last resort and also done in consultation with all stakeholders and parties involved. Corporations have the ability to support the vision and progress of government, and one of those priorities is to create jobs and alleviate poverty. I thank you.
Honorable members, that concludes member statements. Are there any ministerial responses? There ought to be. Honorable Peters, Honorable Nzimande, Honorable Nel, Honorable Nkwinti. Switch you.
Motlatsa Musa Khotla, ke a leboga. I just want to indicate to the honorable member, they raised the question with regard to the e-toll panel in Gauteng, that I am, as having indicated that when the Premier of Gauteng has received the report from the panel, he will duly process it correctly. And I just want to indicate that the Premier today is on record as having indicated that he has consulted with the municipalities that are affected, he has consulted with the national government through the Ministry of Transport as well as Ministry of Finance, because you would remember that one of the key factors related to this matter is a financial matter. And I would want to indicate that His Excellency President Jacob Zuma has constituted a platform or a committee that is Deputy President, and it is this committee that is processing the matters that the Gauteng province is consulting national government. Myself and the Minister of Finance are part of that particular process. And when the Deputy President has considered whatever has been submitted before him, he will duly report. And I would believe that members of Parliament would also get to know what is in the proposals out of those particular consultative matters.
Honorable Nzimande.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, thank you. I just wish to briefly respond to two statements. The first one by Honorable Killian to say that I agree on the challenges facing the post-school education and training sector, and that we are indeed, as ANC government, committed to expansion and diversity of post-school education and training opportunities, with a particular focus on expanding the TVET colleges and the college sector in general, and that this year we are piloting with the introduction of a new institutional type, the community colleges, especially aimed at those who never finished school, as well as those who never went to school. And also to say that entry into community colleges with absolutely no requirements. Anybody and everybody will be accepted at these colleges, irrespective of whether they went to school or not. The second response quickly is to Honorable E.K. Siwela, that we share the concerns about the racial incidents at Stellenbosch University. And that currently our department is drawing up a charter of social inclusion to be adopted by all institutions to, among others, deal with racist and patriarchal incidents. And that also this matter is within the purview of the Transformation Oversight Committee. And also, Deputy Speaker, to advise the EFF that they should be matching to institutions where these incidents are happening and not to preoccupy themselves in my office every day. Thank you very much.
Honorable Gordon. I had mentioned Honorable Nell earlier. Since you are here, I'll give you the chase.
Honorable Speaker,
What are you
just
raising on?
before, we want to give the Minister of Higher
What are you
Education a
raising
revolutionary
on?
advice.
No. What are you raising on?
Point of revolutionary advice.
No, there's no point of order like that. Please, Honorable Ndlozi, you know, please take your seat. Honorable Gordon?
Deputy Speaker, the Honourable Nell will still respond on the Josini matter.
It's okay.
On the question of Bushbuck Ridge, as of 9 o'clock yesterday morning, our report was that there was a protest. There was a meeting with the mayor and that matters were at hand. However, the more recent information that the mayor added, we will look into. And if there's anything to get back to her, we will certainly do that.
Thank you, Honorable. Honorable Nell? Honorable Minister of Agriculture after that.
Okay. Deputy Speaker, thank you very much. I want to thank the Honourable Hlengwa for his statement on Josini municipality and the very, very worrying things that he raises in his statement. I think the Honourable Hlengwa is a member of the Portfolio Committee on COGTA, very well aware of our Back to Basics program and the fact that we've identified that about 1/3 of our municipalities are in trouble, are dysfunctional. He would also be familiar with the steps that we're taking to intervene and to solve those problems. And I think I'm very glad that he's raised the issue of Josini, because in fact the issues that he raises in his statement were uncovered as a result of a forensic investigation that was commissioned by the MEC for COGTA in KwaZulu-Natal, MEC Dube Ncube. Now, that forensic investigation uncovered a number of very, very serious irregularities in Josini municipality. So what does the MEC say? The MEC says that these proof that this investigation was conducted without fear or favor, and our appeal is now to the Josini Council to consider the report and action these recommendations within 21 days in a process which we at COGTA will observe closely. And I think, as the Honourable Hlengwa would know, the COGTA department in KZN does in fact observe very closely, and it's evidenced by the fact that last year and this year there have been of Section 1 interventions in terms of Section 139(1)(c) of the Constitution, where COGTA in the KZN province has stepped in and it has dissolved municipalities where they have not discharged their executive abilities in terms of the Constitution. The latest such intervention was in the municipality. So we thank you very much for the statement. We will be certain to be working with our colleagues in the province to make sure that this report is.
Honorable Sogwana.
Person responding to the Magwa plantation. We are engaged in the province, but led by the local leadership of that area. The matter is not as easy as presented by the honorable member. It involves internal claims within the locality. I'm in touch with the king of the area, planning a meeting together with the Department of Tourism so that we can come up with a program that does not only focus on tea, but also looks at other crops that can be planted so that the livelihood of those people can be improved. I will not venture into the determination of wages. Ngoba ndiyazi umqamelo aqamele ngawo khona ukuze athi i-5,000 ilungile. Ngoba ndiyayazi xa kwenziwa icalelo kuye kujongwe a number of areas. Uqinisekise into yobana xa uthi 5,000 rands a month uyibheyisa entwenini.
Just hold on, Honourable Member, take your seat. Honourable, what are you raising on?
Deputy Speaker, I'm rising because the Honourable Minister to a notice of motion that was rejected by the House on Magwati, not a member statement. If he wants to debate the motion of Magwati, then the ruling party should have supported the motion. But he's involving himself now in a motion, not a member statement.
Okay, that's done. Honourable Member.
Ndicela uxolo ke kulo ngapha kuba khandivi ikhatywa ndicinga uba le nto ibireyizwa yi-FF ibalulekile and idlumze kuba laa bantu balaa ndawo kufuneka sibancedile. Ndicinga uba kulungile FF elirele nto le lakuba nathi siqiniseke into yobana asikwazi olipalamente naphemba siyasebenza. Enkosi.
Honorable Mutshekga.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. With regards to the program around infrastructure and in particular the latrine program in Limpopo, I can definitely assure this House that indeed the pit latrine education program in Limpopo is progressing well, and we are also confident that with the budget, the generous budget being allocated to 2015, the program will meet its deadline. And do want to say, Chair, that it is not only a Limpopo problem, it is a national problem. We are working with provinces as national to make sure that indeed our provinces do meet the norms and standards that we have set as national. As I speak, Chair, because it is a national program, this very Friday we'll be opening a school here in the Western Cape as part of assisting all the provinces to meet the norms and standards. We also will be opening another one next week. We're opening a school every week, especially in the Eastern Cape, because indeed it is a challenge, our infrastructure program. And I must say, with this year's budget, I think we will, as a sector, be able to meet our infrastructure challenges, including the pit latrine eradication program. Thank you, Speaker. Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chair,
Yes, Honorable Member.
may I please address you in
Yes.
terms of Chapter 9 of the Rules Book 105, subsection 6. I don't want to be accused of racism. That is why I did not stand before. But the Honorable Minister Gordon, Deputy Minister, both spoke. Is not allowed. We raised this last week. We're raising it again. If the minister is around, the deputy minister shouldn't speak. So, the minister must not do it again.
Honorable Member.
Because last time I raised it, they said I was with
Honorable Member.
Honorable. So I wanted to just clarify, Chair, that it's in the spirit of the rules that we're raising this question.
Point of order, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Member. What are you raising on?
Can I just explain that I wasn't in the House when Mr. Schlengwa was speaking. I got into the House as he was completing his question. I asked the Deputy Minister who was in the House to then address that point.
Okay.
So I imagine race has got nothing to do with this. Our young colleagues' imagination is really running away with him.
Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. What are you raising on, Honorable Member?
Deputy Speaker, maybe to give you clearer context is that the rule that we're talking to, says that in the absence of a minister who may respond to it as envisaged in sub-rule 6, the relevant deputy minister or any minister must be given an opportunity to respond on behalf of the absent minister. Now, the deputy minister speaks in the presence of the minister. We call in a previous sitting that such is not allowed. It can only be done, the deputy minister only speaks when the minister is not here. It happened with the Minister of Justice in a previous sitting, and a ruling was made that a deputy minister is not. So the deputy minister must really relax, and all other deputy ministers must relax. Their bosses are not here. Please, you want to be respected. You don't want to be addressed by deputies.
Honorable members. Honorable member. Order. Order. Order, honorable members. Order.
Honorable Chair.
What are you raising on, Honorable
No,
Member?
no, may I please address you, Honorable Chairperson?
On what, Honorable Member?
I want to clarify. Last week when we raised the same matter, I was accused by the Honorable Kubai that she's going to write a complaint that I'm racist because I had said the Honorable Deputy Minister, the Honorable Deputy Minister is speaking when the minister is here and is black. And the minister walked out running. I was called to order that I must not raise it in terms of races. But it does pain us because the bosses are here, you know, and the deputies
Honorable
are
Bruce.
here, and they are speaking. They must not
Honorable
speak.
Gross, I would like you to take your seat.
Trying to clarify that to the honorable members on the other side, that it's the rules really.
Honorable Ngozi, take your seat. Honorable members, honorable members, the House must take exception to this constant use and abuse of racial appellations in the conduct of our affairs. The rules, you can read and interpret them as they state. What's wrong with you referring to deputy ministers? When you degenerate into using race as your objection, you are creating a problem. I'm just suggesting that it is not appropriate that we go that route. Honorable members, I also find it absolutely where circumstances allow it, we shouldn't, in the interest of accountability, allow members of the executive to answer questions. Deputy and minister, the rules as they stand, you are correct in pointing it that way. So where evidence is sufficient that we can allow those circumstances that allow it to happen, allow us presiding officers the latitude to make that decision. Our doing it is out of interest for accountability. Who it comes from, must it really matter? It matters in important ways when we are unable to get any responses. I get excited when as many ministers and their deputies are here to answer questions, ministers alone and or with their deputies. That this matter be dealt with in the rules so that we don't come back to it for some kind of finalization so that we get guidance from this position. I will stop at that and allow us to proceed. Thank you very much, honorable members.
Deputy Speaker.
Yes, honorable
we have
member.
not given a ruling. The existing rules proscribe a deputy minister from speaking when the minister is here. That is what the rules say. There's no confusion about it. Don't run parliament for your own conveniences and
Honorable
try to
member.
tolerate lots of things.
Honorable member.
You must live by the rule book so that we are able to move consistently. We do not want to be confused.
No, honorable members.
As long as this rule is existent, there's no deputy minister who's going to speak when the minister is here. It's as simple as that.
Take your seat, honorable
If you want to change
member.
the rule, you can go to change the rule. There's a process of changing the rules now. Then you can allow ministers and their deputies to speak here. But as far as this rule is concerned, deputy ministers must keep
Honorable member.
notes to their ministers when we are asking questions, so that the ministers are the ones who are responsible. They are not even members of cabinet, these people. They are not supposed to be here in the first place. It's an which is just being brought here for people to speak forever, not knowing what they're talking about. So they must really shut up, please.
Honorable members.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, could I please address you on a point of order?
Yes, honorable member.
I find it, Honorable Deputy Speaker, I find it a bit irrespectful, also unparliamentary, for Honorable Member Shivambo to indicate that ministers must shut up. But further on, I find it unacceptable also that Honorable Shivambo say when deputy ministers addresses this August House, I mean, that doesn't show respect to members. I would like you to look into that and make a ruling on it. I think this is parliamentary. Thank you.
Honorable, no.
Chair.
Honorable members, no. Honorable
Can
members.
I address you, Honorable Chair? Respectfully.
Let me do this, honorable member. Honorable
Respectfully,
Ngozi,
Chair.
what are you raising on? Yes.
May I please address you
Yes.
respectfully, Honorable Chairperson? Honorable Chair, please, we're speaking in the best interest of the spirit of the rules. We must not be vilified when we ask honorable members by the rules, including yourself, Honorable Chairperson. It is not wrong. A ruling, by the way, was made last time. It was made a ruling that that was wrong. And therefore, you can't change it today just because you are afraid to say deputy ministers must supervise. Deputy ministers must sit down. It's not wrong to say when they are here, their bosses there must keep quiet. They must not speak.
Honorable Ndlozi,
And we are vilified for quoting the rules.
Honorable member, spoil your language.
You must rule properly, Chairperson.
No,
and
hang on.
other members of the House now, they are vilifying us for quoting the rules.
No, you are the problem. Let me explain to you what the problem is. Do not raise an important point and then use abusive language to describe honorable members in the House. You degenerate inappropriate language and therefore creating a problem for how we should address each other. I think, honorable members, I have also said that the citing of that rule was correct. I didn't hesitate to say that because I realize it is an important thing. All I'm suggesting to you is that we are politically sensitive to the responsibilities members have asked us to do. We will stick by the rules. We will work with the rules. Many of you here in the House do not, by the way, adhere to the rules. And hang on, let me explain to you. I explain my conduct and I explain the rules. And I've suggested to you, go and discuss this matter in the rules so that we hiding mechanisms so that from here, we apply them strictly. And if you agree, honorable members, we can be very strict. And when we become very strict, it's not going to be nice. I can promise you that. We will be strict, operating in the interest of political, of a healthy political exchange in the House and not bureaucratically obstruct discussion. We will request you, if you don't, we will raise it ourselves in the Rules Committee to get guidance. This matter is closed. Thank you very much. The first order of the day, the Secretary will read the first order of the day.
Consideration of person recommended for appointment to Electoral Commission.
Honorable
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The Portfolio Committee of Home Affairs met on the 24th of February 2015 to consider the request to the National Assembly by the Chief Justice of the Republic of South Africa to nominate a suitable candidate to fill a vacancy in the Electoral Commission. The vacancy arose due to the resignation of Advocate Pansi Takula at the end of September 2014. That request was referred by the Speaker to the committee on the 25th of November 2014 declaration and report. The letter dated the 21st November 2014 from the Chief Justice of the Republic of South Africa submitted to the National Assembly the list of recommended candidates for the filling of the vacancy in the Commission. The committee deliberated on the names recommended extensively. After such deliberations, it was clear that there was no agreement on one name for recommendation to this House. Between the two names of Mr. Vuma Mashinini and Ms. Janet Love, the majority of committee members supported Mr. Vuma Glenton Mashinini for recommendation to this House for the filling of the vacancy in the IEC. The following are facts noted by the panel led by the Chief Justice about Mr. Vuma Glenton Mashinini. Mr. Vuma Glenton Mashinini is the former Deputy Chief Electoral Officer of the Electoral Commission during the period of 1998 to 2001. During his tenure, he was instrumental in establishment of key in the Electoral Commission. He has valuable institutional memory, which will assist him in dealing with any challenges that the Commission must be faced with. He is a strong administrator and has wealth of knowledge and experience in electoral matters, which is borne out by his successful implementation of the e-voting system in Nigeria. He has assisted in running of free and fair elections in countries like the DRC, Mozambique, Swaziland, and Angola. Those are the facts that are contained in the report of the Chief Justice. Given the fact that we are filling a full-time vacancy and preparations for the 2016 local government elections are underway, we need a commissioner who will hit the ground running. Mr. Mashinini is seen as an appropriate person for this post, as he is available and prefers to serve on a full-time. The panel of the Chief Justice had this to say of Mr. Mashinini, I quote, "He was an excellent commissioner of the Electoral Commission," close quote. I therefore present our report and request the House to agree to it. I thank you.
Honorable members, I now put the question. What are you raising, honorable member?
Just let you know, we'd like to make a declaration on the matter.
Okay. Okay. Okay, let's start with declarations. Have you been requested? Yes?
Honorable Chair, with your direction and advice, we were part of the committee, and in terms of our conversations in there, we could not find each other about the name that is proposed. So I'd like to persuade the ruling party that perhaps, and the House, that the matter must actually go back to the committee because of the recent developments in the IEC, which have meant that there is no longer women representatives. That we go back and relook at all those names that we were given in the interest of a gender balance within the commission. It's a persuasion with your direction, Honorable Chairperson, as to...
Let me respond to you, sir.
At least we can find each other and build a consensus. This name is going to divide us in a huge way, and it will dent the integrity of the IEC once more.
Yeah. Honorable members, honorable member, take your seat. Honorable members, we are now at a stage where we should indicate yea or nay, and a declaration has been called. The process suggested should have happened before the matter came before the House. We can't change that matter at this stage. So those who would like to give declarations, please proceed.
Deputy Chairperson, Deputy Speaker, the DA vehemently opposes this report and its recommendation to appoint Glenn Mashinini, a known ally and personal advisor to President Jacob Zuma, IEC commissioners. At last week's Home Affairs Portfolio Committee, the ANC used its majority to bulldoze Mashinini's candidacy. Mashinini's close relationship with the President presents a clear conflict of interest that renders him unsuitable to hold office at a Chapter 9 institution charged with the carrying out of free and fair elections and remaining politically independent. Deputy Speaker, the ideal candidate is one who is independent and commands the respect of parties in this House, not just the ANC. Let's examine for a minute what his CV says about his independence. Well, according to his CV, he was actively involved with the ANC abroad. He was actively involved in ANC political campaigns. He participated in ANC alliance delegations and ANC provincial organizer as well as an ANC spokesperson. Now, I tell you, Chairperson, Deputy Speaker, is this an ANC that bothers about democracy in South Africa or about protecting their president? The IEC is one of South Africa's constitutional cornerstones, and Mashinini's recommendation flies directly in the face of the institution's principles. It's also worth noting that currently the board is all male, and the ANC, who would prefer to protect the president instead of our democratic institutions, dismissed a string and impartial female candidates that would have brought much needed skills, experience, and gender equity to the board. The chairpersonship of this institution must be held by someone who is beyond reproach and capable of fairly and effectively running an organization that manages multi-million rand budgets and electoral credibility of our country. The DA does not believe that Mr. Mashinini is a suitable candidate and strongly urges this House not to support this recommendation.
Thank you, Chair. At the committee level, we rejected on the appointment of President Zuma's advisor. We are saying this is a political appointment. That is a clear daily robbery. Chairperson, EFF is a Marxist-Leninist Fanonian organization, which its ideology is very clear on gender issues. A former IEC chairperson was a woman and can't be replaced by a man and expect EFF to sell a gender struggle while we have a capable women in our land. It can't be, not on our name. The only remaining woman commissioner, Taliat, has resigned. It must tell you something is wrong in that IEC. No woman is left at IEC at the moment. It is not in the best interest of gender struggle to have a male replacing a woman. It's an insult, in short. It is not in the best interest of free and fair elections for such body to be led by a person with close and intimate relationship with the president of the ruling who will want to cling into power no matter what. EFF reject this and forward with the gender struggling.
Honorable member, your turn, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir. The IFP would like to state that the 8 CVs which were referred by the Chief Justice and the ANC moved for Mr. Glenn Mashinini, who has a CV which shows extensive work that he has done in South Africa as well as in other countries. A beautiful CV. However, an individual who moves into the position of an electoral commission is a person who is non-partisan, who is not actually a person that has been into an independent function. This is a person, of course, everything which I'm stating was stated in the CV. So you see that CV. I would like to state...
Honorable member, please take your seat. Honorable Mponjani.
Standing where I am, I cannot hear my own member speaking from reporter. I can't hear my own member speaking from. Can you ask the House to...
Honorable members, please allow Honorable Mponjani to hear the member. Order, honorable members.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. It is also extremely worrying that the issue of the gender component was not actually expressed in a way that we were all comfortable with in our committee, and also the rushing, where the whole matter was actually rushed. But then we do know that, of course, the ANC vote in Mr. Mashinini, but we are warning ourselves, as well as the country, that as long as that person has been in the presidency, and as long as the person is not an independent person, it will always look like a political deployee. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable member.
Adjunct Speaker, ek kyk na die lede van die agbare lede van die ANC en ek sien hoe hulle as die kwalifikasies uitgelees word van die benoemde dat hulle 'n juigkommando is. Ek wil vir u sê, u mag dalk 'n juigkommando wees, maar u doen die nasie van Suid-Afrika 'n onreg aan. Die hoof van die verkiesingskommissie moet 'n persoon wees, 'n man of 'n vrou, wat bo verdenking is. Want slegs 'n persoon wat bo verdenking is, kan sê dat die basiese beginsels van demokrasie, waar die kiezer vertroue in die verkiesingsproses sal hê, moet dan bo verdenking is. En dit is nie wat hier gebeur nie. Hier word 'n persoon aangestel wat nie bo verdenking is nie. In Potchefstroom het ons gesien hoe die verkiesingskommissie se amptenare eintlik pleeg dat 'n hof toe gegaan moet word om dit reg te stel. Ek wil vandag vir u sê, die ANC doen die demokrasie van Suid-Afrika nie 'n guns met hierdie aanstelling nie en die Vryheidsfront Plus sal dit nie ondersteun nie.
Honourable Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The Congress of the People cannot support the appointment of the President's personal advisor into the position as a commissioner at the IEC. The IEC should be, we require free and we require free and fair elections in this country. We need a person with impeccable person to ensure that, so we cannot support that. I thank you.
Thank you. Any other declaration? Honourable members, there being no other declaration. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Yes, honourable member.
Is it on? Honourable Deputy Speaker, comrades and friends, we here today declare once more as the Congress that the South African colonial experience was based on the intersection of class, race, and gender relations of power. These distinctive features of social and biological have been used in human history to exclude, repress, and stifle the progress of individuals and communities. The struggle against colonialism of a special sought to eliminate most of these manifestations of unequal social. It is documented throughout the principles and policies of the African National Congress, the gender question. How passionate are we in ensuring that we transform the society? Those of us who today chose to be Marxist, they fail to understand few things. That the African National Congress chose one and only one thing. Sikhethe ukwenza ubuntu, sakhetha ukuthanda isizwe, sakhetha ukwenza umanyano, ngoba asinamona asinanzondo. Xa sisithi imihlaba sizayithatha siyibuyisele back ebantwini abamnyama suba sinomona ebelungu aba-owner beyithathe rongo. Unfortunately ke i-FF chose into yobana bazenze all masters of everything. Nevertheless, the incumbent
Deputy Speaker.
had the distinctive figure.
Deputy Speaker.
Honourable member.
I think really we must not be abused in this house.
What's happening, honourable member?
There's declarations on whether we appoint a deployee of the ANC or not. The honourable member there is not speaking about what we're talking about.
Take your
He's
seat.
talking about something else.
Okay,
Can we
honourable.
please not be diverted from what we're busy with?
Take your seat,
We
honourable member.
sympathize,
I'll
but
address
really
it.
we must not be abused like that. And
Take your seat, honourable. Take your seat, honourable member. Conclude your comments, sir.
Honorable Chairperson, the African National Congress, without any fear, appoint our Mashinini, Koba. We are leading the country. We are not sharing power with the Democratic Alliance and the EFF. The fact that they've got this passionate hatred against President Zuma, we are not going to entertain that. Umashinini, bethanda bengathandi. sizokunenzela ifavor yonimamela. Just this wasted ixesha. Kodwa uba niyasiqhela niyaqhubekeka. Sizoyibetha emzimbeni ngoku.
Deputy Speaker.
Yes, honorable member.
Deputy Speaker, utata lo uthethayo ndicela arhoxise akanawuthi siyamqhela siyaqhubekeka into bazosibetha emzimbeni siyasiva isiXhosa. Makaqhoxise aphelise asimqhelise indlela.
Honorable member, please withdraw those words.
Makadikalele ba uqhela kuthetha ukuthini ke.
Honorable member, le ndaba yokuthi abantu bozozwe emzimbeni ayikho right, akuyirhoxisi.
No. Chairperson. I will withdraw because it had to put us to
Okay. Honorable members.
Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker.
Yes, honorable member.
There's a proposal here that was put to the table that all political parties are objecting to the appointment of an electoral commissioner. We are supposed to preside over elections for all of us on an equal platform. And can we appeal really to yourself and the ruling party that develop some sense of wisdom to know that you can't impose an electoral commissioner.
Honorable member.
On all of us.
Honorable member. Can I remind you?
We don't have a problem with a variety of other people that can be proposed. But we can't throw a vote because we're going to vote now.
Honorable Shivambo.
We can't impose
Honorable
an electoral
Shivambo.
commissioner.
He is speaking
on
as
the
what
people of
now?
South Africa, please.
Okay, honorable member,
He is
please.
speaking as what?
Honorable members, please do not speak before I recognize you.
But
Honorable members, honorable member from the NFP, what are you raising on, sir?
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I had my hand long time ago. I wanted to say we don't doubt that Mashinini has impeccable.
Honorable member, did your member?
Yes.
Did you make a declaration?
Yes.
So honorable members, if you have made a declaration, what are you raising on?
I'm starting now.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
Yes, I
Yeah.
haven't.
All right, yeah.
But I'm saying the IC is a very critical entity. And the woman has been the chairperson there. And for the sake of gender, the NFP would say we need a woman IEC chairperson in that portfolio. Okay. So we object to Mashinini becoming the chairperson.
Okay. Honorable members, the House, what are you raising on, sir?
Honorable Chair,
Yes.
Honorable Chair, I want to go on record and say Arang SA does not support this appointment.
Honorable Chief Whip.
Speaker, as the question has not been put before the House yet, the Democratic Alliance, given the views that have been expressed and the obvious importance of this position and how we fill it, the Democratic Alliance would like to formally move a reference back to the committee for them to reconsider this matter, and we move the reference back.
Honorable members, the Chief Whip moves reference. Anybody, Honorable Chief Whip?
Honorable Deputy Speaker, they can't have their cake and eat it. They participated in declarations opposing. This time we differ, and we will continue to differ. And that's why we have majority. The majority must prevail. It's a democratic process.
Honorable members.
Honorable Chairperson.
Honorable Ndlozi.
We want to address ourselves to the proposal, Honorable Chairperson.
Honorable member.
That
it has, yeah.
referred back.
Yes.
Honorable Chair, of the 8 candidates, Chief Whip of the majority, that were forwarded
Honorable
to the
member, go back to the debate.
I'm not
please.
going back, Chair. Just give me a chance. I'm saying that there is capable other candidates upon
Point of
whom
order.
No.
consensus.
Point of
Honorable
order,
member.
Chair.
Honorable
On a point
member.
of order.
What's the point of order, Honorable Chief Whip?
They had an opportunity to declare. Now we are giving them a second chance of
But I'm
declaration.
addressing myself to the new
Honorable Chief Whip,
proposer.
Honorable Chief Whip, you interrupted me talking to him about the matter. So, Honorable Member, you can't go debate. The opportunity for moving this thing for reference has been objected to. We now are putting the question to the House. All those who say aye.
Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I moved a motion for reference back. I believe it's apposite for you to put that to the House. Now we've heard that the Chief Whip of the Opposition has opposed the reference back.
Yes.
But respectfully, I would ask that the reference back has been moved, and I think it must be put to the House. So the House can decide. You have not put the official question yet on this
All right.
matter.
Honorable Member, the Chief Whip has opposed to it. Let me put it to the House. Those who say yes to the reference say yes. Yes. Those who say no say no. No. The reference is rejected. The noes have it.
Deputy Speaker.
Yes.
The Democratic Alliance calls for a division.
Honorable members, the division having been called, the bells will be rung for 3 minutes. The count, it's supposed to be 3 minutes. We've gone beyond 3 minutes now. Honorable, the question that we must decide on, yes, Honorable Minister, what are you raising on?
Deputy Speaker, on a point of order, before you I would like to ask that you indicate to us in terms of which rule is this matter we are now dividing on tabled, because there is no provision for a referral or whatever the member referred to it as. There is provision for a motion which is written, presented to noon as a motion to be debated upon. However, if a motion is put and requested that a decision be made on the day on which it is put, there must be concurrence of the entire House that we should divide or debate that matter. I do not recall concurrence being sought, so I'm not sure in terms of what rule we are proceeding now. Could we please be guided by yourself?
Honorable members, the rule that otherwise we would have allowed this matter, and I will point out that the situation changes because of the language used by the Chief Whip to request us to refer the matter. 97 motions without notice. Every motion requires notice, except a motion. Let's go to C, okay? Jump the two, yes. For the postponement or discharge of and giving precedence to and an order of the day. Yeah, referring a bill to a committee. D refers to a bill, and we do not have a bill. And the did not ask for postponement. He asked us for reference, referring back and so on. So in both of them, you could interpret it differently, but for or discharge, if I were to allow it, Honorable Minister, it would be on the basis of postponement. That would be the only if we were to allow it. But now, postponement, referring is one way of doing it, and so that would be the basis on which we call it.
Achtbare adjunct speaker.
Yes.
Achtbare adjunct speaker.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Can I ask you a question?
Ask your question, sir.
Are you confused or not?
Honorable Member, I have been asked a question and we always consult literally in public in front of your eyes. You are confused by asking that question. I want to suggest, Honorable Members, the member has not offered a reformulation of this matter so that the language, the rules as stated here. Therefore, we are going to use what we indicated earlier on, the question of putting the matter before the House. That would be the decision that we are making now. Yes. Which is that matter has been dealt with earlier on and not accepted. The question we are going to be putting to the House now is the matter of the original motion before the House. Yes, go ahead, go ahead.
If that's the case, then obviously the red phone from the Thuli House has been ringing off the hook. To say to you that I would then, in terms of Rule of Order 76, request you to postpone this decision.
Honourable Member, what about 76?
Rule 76 gives you, Chairperson, Deputy Speaker, the power to postpone this decision. And and I want to say that, because this is the important point, that we're not filling, the Tiddlywinks committee here. This is a commissioner of the IEC. And it should be somebody who has broad appeal across all political parties. And we're going to undermine the credibility of that person if we proceed in this House the way we've done today.
Honourable Member, why do you refer to 76 when I've given you my opinion?
Deputy Speaker, I'm respecting you. I'm respecting.
Point of order.
Yes.
Can I finish?
Point of order.
You can't take a point of order on a point of order.
Point of order.
First, can you take your seat? I'm speaking to the Chief Whip of the opposition party here.
Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I'm respecting your ruling that you've made earlier about the reference back.
Yes.
But I'm saying to you that in terms of rule of point of order 76, you are empowered to postpone this decision once this debate is concluded.
Yes.
And I'm asking you to please, given the seriousness of the matter and the very partisan manner in which this is being dealt with, that we postpone this decision for further engagement as political parties.
Honourable Member, you are delegating to me a decision that the House itself has already made effectively here. No, let me explain to you. Honourable Member, the reason we give you each the opportunity to declare, we hear what your view is on the matter, and you have expressed your views on that matter. Okay? And this question of reference, I put it to the House to indicate their views on none.
Deputy Speaker.
Honourable Chivambo, what are you raising on?
Yes, a very sincere request is being made that all political parties, except the ruling parties, objecting to the appointment of an electoral commission. And we are saying, let us utilize the rules to postpone this question and try to build consensus.
Okay.
It is not impossible for us to have some sense of common ground on the people who must be in the electoral commission. Let us allow that political engagement. Don't narrowly want to work in the framework that you want to impose on us now. Can we then on a different platform after there have been
some sense of engagement on what becomes a common ground on people who should preside over elections, which all of us must accept its outcomes of. And it's a sincere request that we are giving to you that if maybe it's difficult from that chair to take a decision, consult the political leadership and then come back to us to say that we can take a different move.
Okay.
Not in the manner in which you want to do it now.
All right.
It's a sincere request.
Yeah, take your seat, Honourable Member. Yes, Honourable Member.
Deputy Speaker, just to enforce with you, you made a ruling in terms of 97A. You don't want to proceed in that manner. What I'm saying to you is that we have a way of pulling this away from the brink by using 76 to.
Yeah, okay.
So we do it, and
all right.
I need you to make a
All
ruling.
right, Honourable Member, on the advice of the Chief Whip of the Opposition, I have now made my mind that the House earlier viewed that this matter must be debated and discussed here. That matter will proceed now to its next stage, so that each member in the House expresses his or her view on this matter. That decision will be made by the House, not by the presiding officer here. We now put the question to the House. Honourable Member, we go into the original motion before the House. Can you listen to me? Please, order.
Honourable Deputy Speaker.
What are you raising, Honourable Member?
May I address you?
Yes, address me, Honourable Member.
Deputy Speaker, it is once been said that a fool elected by a fool will be led by a fool. But the biggest fool who elected that fool. I'm appealing to you, Deputy Speaker, not to fall within that category, but to rule on a proper fashion here.
Honourable Member, I notice that the heat is overcoming you, Honourable Member, in the House. But with respect, Honourable Members, let's also remind you that we need to proceed with the question before the House. And I want to plead not to place before us an obstacle to running the House. The question before the House is
Deputy Speaker, point of order.
What is your point of order, sir?
The honourable member must that people are sitting here as fools to try and elect a fool. It's not correct. You have to withdraw it.
Yes. Okay, take your seat, Honourable. Honourable Matlu, what do you say to that request?
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I said it has once been said that a fool elected by a fool will be led by a fool. But the biggest fool is the fool who elected that fool.
Okay. Honourable Member, and this is your reference to honourable members. Do you think we must accept that?
No.
So withdraw it then. If you say no?
No, I was asking for you, Deputy Secretary.
Just withdraw it.
No, I ask you
Just
not
withdraw
to
it.
fall within that category.
Just withdraw it.
I've never said no, anyone is fools here.
Just withdraw it.
I've never said anyone is fools.
Just withdraw it. All right, honourable member, I name you. Okay? Honourable Metlu, I name you. Honourable members, we will now put the question before the House. Honourable members, order. Honourable members, you will be ordered. We will proceed with the business of the House. Please do not act on behalf of the chair until we finish this business. You will act on behalf of the chair once the chair is not here. For now, the question before the House is that Mr. Mashinini be appointed the chairperson of the IAC as recommended. Those who...
Honourable Deputy Speaker, Deputy Speaker.
As a member of the... Yeah.
Deputy Speaker, sir.
Can I, Honourable Chief Whip?
Can I correct you, please?
No, Honourable Member, I'm being given guidance right now. Can I just get that guidance?
I want to correct your guidance you just gave us now, please.
No, that's what is being done, Honourable Chief Whip, please. Yeah. Members, the question before the House is the approval of the nomination of Mr. Vuma Clinton Mashinini for appointment to serve on the Electoral Commission. Are there any objections to the nomination as read out? I now put the question once more. Those in favor will say aye. Aye. And those against, no. I think the ayes have it.
Deputy Speaker, the Democratic Alliance calls for a division.
5 minutes. Honorable members, it will be rung for 5 minutes.
Oh, yes.
Honorable members, we would like to remind members that they may only vote from their allocated seats. When requested to do so, members must simply indicate they are voting by pressing the appropriate button below the yes, no, or abstain signs. If a member inadvertently presses the wrong button, the member may thereafter press the correct button. The last button pressed will be recorded as the member's vote when the voting session is closed by the chair. The question before the House is that the House approves the nomination of Mr. Tlouamma Glenton Mashinini for appointment to serve on the Electoral Commission in accordance with Section 2C of the Electoral Commission Act 1996. Yeah, 62C, yes. Are all members in their allocated seats? Yes. Voting will now commence. Yes. Those in favor of the nomination should press the yes button. Yes. Those against, press the no button. No. Those wishing to abstain, press the abstain button. Yes. Have all members voted? Yes. Thank you. The voting session is now closed. Members, the voting results are as followed. The yes, 223, no, 127, abstain 2. The question of the nomination of Mr. Tlouamma Glenton Mashinini for appointment to serve on the Electoral Commission is accordingly agreed to. The last item on the order paper is a motion in the name of Honorable M A. Honorable Member.
Deputy Speaker, Justice has said that in the first instance, the Assembly is elected to represent the people and to ensure government by the people under the Constitution. A motion of no confidence in the President is a vital tool to advance our democratic hygiene. It affords the Assembly a vital power and duty to scrutinize and oversee executive action. This Deputy Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Constitutional Court recognized the supreme importance of motions of no confidence in the executive government as the most powerful tool of parliamentary oversight. Since this is so, it's very important that when voting on a motion of no confidence in the President, members of the National Assembly, including members who represent the majority, vote according to the dictates of their conscience. That is why a vote of no confidence must be voted upon by way of secret ballot. It has betrayed its liberation movement traditions and now rules more by fear and patronage than by consent. But I'm more convinced that there are enough honorable members who represent the governing party who share our distress at how the President has shamed the liberation movement, shamed the country, and shamed all its people. That they will vote with minority parties to adopt a motion of no confidence in him if voting takes place by secret ballot. It is a pity, therefore, that the Speaker have turned down Agang's request for such a vote to be taken by way of a secret ballot. The Supreme Court of Appeal has held that the Speaker is required by the duties of his office to exercise and display the impartiality of a judge. Of course, the President will not enjoy the confidence of opposition parties, but the Speaker must enjoy the confidence of every member in this House. For the Speaker is not the Speaker of the ANC, she is the Speaker of Parliament. She is or should be the Speaker of us all. We have all been witnessing the unthinkable over the last few months. This should be a bastion of decorum, where the people's chosen representatives gather to debate the affairs of the nation, its laws. There should be, on the one hand, utmost respect of the authority of the presiding officer, and on the other, unwavering impartiality on their part. But it has descended into chaos. Our new democracy was a light unto the world. We had overcome centuries of colonial apartheid. This institution was still, until 1994, the stifled, oppressive seat of the domination of a single racist party. It hosted the barest pretext of democracy, a cynical of popular representation. Then overnight, this was transformed into a chamber that drew the admiration of the world. People came from corner of the globe to witness the workings of a non-racial, non-sexist Republic of Freedom. It is unspeakable tragedy that we seem to be reverting to what this House was in the grim years of apartheid, a hollow sham of democratic gestures, form without substance, words without meaning, ritual without integrity. We must lead by example, but we have taught the worst possible lesson to an audience on live television. Our people, they witness their elected leaders abandoning all decency, mutual respect, and honor. It is the Speaker's scared responsibility to hold this House to the highest standards of democracy. Instead of doing so, she has descended into muddy trenches. What happens if this paralysis, caused in no small measure by the President, endures for too long? What happens? What happens if the National Assembly is frustrated and diverted from fulfilling its constitutional role for too long? For democracy is a fragile thing. I fear that the habits and practices of lively debate, challenging but respectful differences that characterized our post-liberation Rainbow Parliament may wither and die on the vine, never to stay again. If that happens, history may record that the Speaker presided over the funeral. The danger is that the Parliament will have become twisted and torn too far, wounded and damaged too badly, gone down the road of chaos so far that will be unable to turn back. Also, as a legislature has torn itself apart and in the process rendered itself incapable of fulfilling its oversight role, particularly in respect of the executive, invites executive intervention and takeover. So this debate plays against the backdrop of no less than 3 High Court applications arising out of the disgraceful scrambling of cell phone signals and the invasion of these hallowed halls by armed plainclothes police. And now Arang and the UDM and COPE are jointly seeking an order against the Speaker declared unfit to hold the position of the Speaker, and at the very least, they should not preside over debates of motions of no confidence. In the same case, an order will also be sought that a vote of motion of no confidence should take place by a secret ballot to allow members vote their conscience and not according to the dictates. This court application was necessitated the Speaker's refusal, firstly, to recuse herself from presiding over this debate, and secondly, by the fact that she indicated in advance, without hearing argument, that she will not allow voting to take place by way of secret ballot. In our case, we maintain that the Speaker the rule of law, the time-honored conventions which apply to her positions, those of impartiality, even-handedness, fairness, and discernment. She is like a judge who has become a prosecutor. Arang, the UDM and COPE are asking the court to take the first step along the road to the restoration and recovery of Parliament's dignity and the nation's respect for it. Respectfully asking the court to reaffirm the Speaker is not above the law. She should abide by the rules of law which govern the province.
Honorable Speaker. Point of order.
Yes, Honorable Nkwinti, what's the point of order?
We have been made to understand that this will be a no-confidence debate on the President of the Republic. But the honorable member who's moving the motion is about the Speaker. Could we think he's confused, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable
Tlouamma, in the ruling of the courts in bringing the matter, in taking the matter out of court, that also dealt with the issue of the speaker and the issue of voting by secret ballot. I think that enabled us on with the motion on the order paper in your name, Honorable Member.
Honorable Speaker, I just want to cut the matter short. Maybe for all these reasons, Madam Speaker, I will respectfully ask you again whether you are prepared to recuse yourself from presiding over this debate.
Honorable Tlouamma, I am presiding.
I guess that is
That
no,
issue
Madam
has
Speaker.
been decided. I am presiding and I have no intention of recusing myself. And member, you are free to address the motion on the order paper as put by yourself.
In that case, Madam Speaker, I decline to move this motion that stands in my name on that order. I withdraw it.
The Honorable Khatebe.
Point of order. Point of order, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, point of order.
Honorable Tlouamma, you are no longer on the podium, and I don't see how you think you can play games with the House. You put a motion, they're ready to handle it. Everybody is here on the speaker's list. Please go and take your seat, Honorable Tlouamma.
Honorable Speaker, I'm calling for a point of order.
Honorable Tlouamma.
And I'm not playing games.
Please go and take your seat.
Can't I raise my point of order?
We will do our own work from this chair and the table. I request you to go and take your seat.
Honorable Speaker, all I'm saying is, let me read my point of order and you rule on it. Therefore, I'll go to my seat. All I'm asking is to read my point of order, then you rule it, and then I'll go and sit to my seat.
Honorable Tlouamma, you don't know how long you've been dragging us around as different parties on this matter of your motion.
Honorable Speaker, you speak like you are blackmailing me now. Because now you are saying, Honorable Speaker, I've been dragging people. Is that blackmail?
Honorable Tlouamma, what this chair and the table were doing now is considering the situation you have put us in. And that is the situation of putting a motion on the order paper and then saying it is off.
No, all I'm saying, Honorable Speaker, I've asked you a question that will you allow a secret ballot? You said no. I therefore said, on the basis of your answer, I withdraw this motion because this was the condition of the motion. And
on the point of Honorable Tlouamma, please go and take your seat. Yeah. Let us just do our own consultation here.
Thank you.
Coward!
Honourable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, can you please call security for that grouping there? We need security now.
Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker? Hello? Madam Speaker? May I? Thank you. Madam Speaker, come there.
Honorable Speaker, can you also call me? I'm interested.
That's my interpretation. I think so.
Honorable members, order. Honorable members, during the period we were conferring, I did hear somebody say, and apparently they were saying it to the honorable member of Ahang, and that said coward. But apparently that honorable member has since left the chamber. So we will have to engage with that honorable member when they are back in the chamber. I have been informed that the honorable member who's just entered the house shouted to the Ahang member, coward. Would you like? I'm very grateful because the honorable member is just getting up. I was wondering whether this was reliable information that it is this honorable member. Honorable member.
Speaker, I don't know what are you talking about because I didn't say anything. What did I say?
Because
I'm surprised that you are saying that I said coward. It's not me who spoke.
All right, honorable
I don't
member.
know. I was seated here. That is why I'm puzzled.
It's
I am
okay,
puzzled
honorable
because-
member, take a seat. We will then deal with this issue outside of here. We now have the motion that was in front of us to deal with. And I recognize the chief whip of the majority party in that regard.
Honorable Speaker, in line with Rule 102, any member who moves a motion can, without notice, withdraw the motion. After consultation with other parties, we have agreed that he's got the right, but that right has been abused because we all agreed we'll debate this motion, but because he has decided to withdraw it in a malicious way, we would not have any topic to debate, therefore the motion is off the table.
I recognize the chief whip of the opposition.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we did confer outside and we concur with the interpretation of the rules. I do just want to say, however, that these sort of constitutional motions are not motions that must be entered into lightly or trifled with. They are serious motions and they have serious implications. When this sort of thing happens, it actually undermines our ability as members of parliament to hold the executive to account properly and for them to take us seriously when we actually do and perform our functions. I had arranged for a number of my members, we called a 3-line whip today. We had some great up, but so be it. The motion has fallen away. We'll be back another day. Thank you.
The Honorable Shibambu.
Thanks, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, we did agree that now that the representative have withdrawn the motion, there is no more need to debate it, but you must really stop being playful. We are serious. We don't want playful games. We are opposition. Yes, we want a motion of no confidence on President Zuma, but playfulness will not assist this House. We don't want playful games of they must dissolve and maybe go and do something else and stop wasting our time.
I'm aware that some honorable members are itching to say something, but I've recognized the chief whips of the 3 biggest parties, and in fact were agreed the motion is off, and therefore the IFP wants to say something on NFP. NFP.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We are indeed one of the biggest parties in the House. Speaker, the IFP does align itself with the proposal that the motion falls away. In fact, there's nothing to debate. But having said that, Honourable Speaker, we spent quite a long time preparing for this motion. I would request that next time our time is not wasted in this manner by any party that must warn us in time if it wants to withdraw the motion. I thank you.
The Honorable Kubisa.
Thanks, Honourable Speaker. I'm sure in future, Honourable Speaker will be generous enough to refer to all because we're also consulted. But then, be that as it may, we want to say we concur that the motion, that the mover has withdrawn the motion, and as such, we have nothing on the table to discuss. But this was a very critical matter. We would have discussed some critical issues. In future, he must put the motion and we debate it.
FF plus.
Agbare Speaker, die standpunt van die Vryheidsfront Plus, agbare Speaker, op hierdie aangeleentheid is dat dit is die taak van hierdie huis om die uitvoerende gesag tot verantwoording te roep. Maar daar is ook 'n plig en 'n verantwoordelikheid op agbare lede van die huis dat as hulle wil die uitvoerende gesag tot verantwoording dat hulle verantwoordelik moet optree. Ek dink dit is onverantwoordelik van 'n agbare lid om 'n mosie te stel, op die podium te kom en dan skielik die mosie te onttrek. Dit is nie die regte manier om die uitvoerende gesag tot verantwoording te roep nie. Die reëls is daar. Ons sal dan aanvaar dat die mosie van die tafel is, maar ons doen 'n beroep op agbare lede verantwoordelik moet optree, want hierdie is nie 'n kinderhuis of 'n plek waar kindertjies speel in terme van die reëls en die verantwoording roep van die uitvoerende gesag nie. Ek dank u.
Thank you very much, honorable members. The ACDP, Honorable Swart.
Speaker, we in the smaller parties are placed under great difficulty when there's a lot of motions and debates on the order paper. And I spent a lot of time preparing for this debate. I had some nice things, President, and some not such nice things. But, Speaker, I want to share the sentiments of other speakers just to express our regret that the motion was withdrawn at such a late stage. I sat late preparing for it. I had other commitments as well, and I think we need to be taken very seriously when we have motions like this. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable Godi.
Honorable Speaker, I think as an addition to what other members have said, I think it will be a useful lesson for us to say how do we factor in the rules, a safeguarding mechanism so that we don't have to come to this again.
Thank you, Honorable Godi. Honorable members, I believe really to the end of expressing ourselves on this matter, which was the last business of the House, and I would like that we agree, adjourn the House.